The Oracl3 Network.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Welcome to Active Shooter, a podcast that covers the whys, the hows, and the aftermath of active shooter and mass casualty events.
They have an active shooter in the building. A second call says they are being attacked.
I've been shot. 16910 means we got shots fired. 4:15 ASF. Route 291 sounded like an automatic firearm.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Thank you for listening.
You are listening to Active Shooter, a podcast that may contain adult themes, explicit language, and graphic depictions of violence. Portions of this show may be traumatic for those under 18. Listener discretion is advised.
A suspect being reported as a person with a long gun.
Just before 3 p.m.
NYPD vehicles here.
Chaos amid reports of a shooting at Bronx, Lebanon Hospital, about a mile and a half from Yankee Stadium. A massive police and firefighting response. Emergency crews rushed to the scene. The hospital put on lockdown. Emergency responders inside and on the roof, going room to room looking for a suspect, reportedly wearing a white doctor's coat and carrying a long gun, called an AR-15, a semi-automatic weapon.
As we have discovered throughout covering many different and mass casualty events, most seem to occur at schools, downtown shopping and dining areas, and malls. Shootings aren't exclusive to those types of places, however. Mass shootings or casualty events can happen just about anywhere, at just about any time. There isn't a place, person, thing, or time that is immune from being touched by one of these horrific incidents. And as a result, is there any place that we can truly feel safe? Today's shooting case occurred at a hospital, a site already associated with death and despair for so many, which makes this story all the more poignant. However, what makes the shooting much scarier is that the rage-filled act was committed by one of the very people we expect to save lives, not take them. Doctors are not to play God, and must take their oaths as a physician seriously, promising to do no harm. Yet, on Friday, June 30th, 2017, a doctor did just that, murdered one innocent person, and injured 6 others before killing himself.
Active Shooter the podcast is a High Five Holly production, and I'm your host, JT. If you've listened to our prior episodes, you know that the Active Shooter podcast team has taken the No Notoriety pledge, and we will not be sharing the real name of the shooters that we cover. We will be giving the shooters a pseudonym and refer to them by that name throughout the episode. This will help in clearing up any confusion in the story, while remaining true to our pledge in not naming the shooter by their actual name. We will refer to today's shooter as Mike.
The Bronx Lebanon Hospital Center, currently a part of the Bronx Care Health System, is a bustling and busy hospital. The same was true on Friday, June 30th, 2017, when 45-year-old Mike entered the hospital for one last time. His intent? Kill the people he deemed responsible for the loss of his medical practice and license. Mike didn't think it was fair that he was forced to resign, and he wanted revenge as severely as he wanted breath. He was going to make everyone pay for his downfall. At approximately 2:55 p.m., Mike entered the hospital, undetected, using his old ID card and wearing his white lab coat. Mike carried an Anderson Manufacturing AM-15 .223 caliber semi-automatic rifle under the inconspicuous coat, with an S&B AR-15 receiver spur group. He was seeking out Dr. David Lazala, who trained Mike in family medicine. He didn't immediately find Dr. Lazala because the doctor had taken the day off, unbeknownst to Mike. Without a second thought, Mike opened fire, shooting at random. The entire shooting spanned approximately 15 minutes from the first 911 call that was placed until when Mike's body was discovered. While the precise minute-by-minute timeline wasn't readily available, we know Mike made it to the 16th and 17th floors of the hospital, as that is where most shots were fired. There were a total of 6 shooting victims with varying degrees of injuries, including in the leg, abdomen, and chest. 5 of the victims sustained injuries from gunshot wounds, and 1 victim was killed. 5 victims were doctors, and 1 was a patient. Mike set 2 separate fires during his rampage. One was at a nurse's station, and the other was when he tried to set himself on fire. The fires caused the hospital's fire alarms to go off. When the fire alarm spooked Mike, or maybe he just felt he had created plenty of damage, it is unknown. Yet, very shortly after the fire alarms began blaring, Mike slipped into a vacant room, shot himself, and then proceeded to stagger towards the door, collapsing into the hallway. He was ultimately found on the 17th floor. During the shooting, a red alert went off throughout the hospital, which was then placed on lockdown.
They said code silver, which means what to you? Which means someone has a weapon.
All staff and patients locked themselves into whatever room they happened to be in, or were walking past, when the shooting started. They created barricades out of anything they could find, such as IV stands, desks, chairs, or anything else heavy that could be moved.
And those nurses took whoever they could, and they put them in bathrooms with them. They huddled together, and they barricaded the door.
There was a hospital room with 10 people hiding inside. Each individual was lying on the ground when the police finally found them. The scene was complete and utter chaos. The combination of smoke from the gunfire and from the human-made fire caused sprinklers to go off, which in turn caused the blood to smear and run, making the inside of the pristine white hospital look like a slaughterhouse. Moments before Mike shot himself in the head, he tried to light himself on fire, but the sprinklers quickly extinguished the flames. Many hospital staff members risked their lives to save their patients, life-saving measures they never dreamed they would ever have to take.
We went up to 17, and we too actually pulled patients out, literally over dead bodies and blood and gore all over.
In other areas of the hospital, staff members barricaded operating room doors so surgeons could finish the procedures they were in the middle of when the shooting began. There was one family medicine doctor who was killed. The injured were comprised of 1 patient and numerous staff members, including a gastrointestinal specialist, a family services physician, and 3 medical students.
Be advised, you have a shooting or something going on at Bronx Lab.
Affirmative, K is coming over zone 10.
I'm going to 4-6 just to let them know. 5-5? I'm going on the 4-4 Bronx Lab.
Requesting additional units as per my dispatcher and the zone 10 advising that they have multiple shots being heard fired inside of Bronx, Lebanon.
David 1 going.
It is unconfirmed at this time, unit.
Show me going. 4, show me going. 6 is 1, 2 going. 6 there, show's going. Present Central.
What's this, Sergeant K? Are you responding to this location as well?
Respond also. They call it level 1 yet?
Not at this time, K. Just 10-5 the units that are responding, K. We've been in
show me going.
This is where they're calling in an active shooter at this time. 4-6 Sergeant, 4-8 Sergeant, copy. They're advising that this is confirmed shots fired, okay? At this time, units, be advised, confirmed shots fired as per the 4-4 Sergeant. We have it at Bronx, Lebanon Hospital, 1650 Grand Concourse, Mount Eden Avenue to East 173th Street. Sergeant K.
Hey, Sergeant, right.
Raising 4-8, Sergeant.
Sergeant.
Hey, Sergeant K. Any 4-8 units responding to this location?
Location.
1650 Grand Concourse, Bronx, Lebanon Hospital. They have a confirmed active shooter. Shots fired at the location. Advising 16th floor. They have people running, advising 6 or 7 shots fired. Active shooter in Bronx, Lebanon Hospital.
Oracl3 Special Projects Lieutenant Central, so responding as well.
Okay, 10-4. Units coming from 46 Precinct, please arrive alive and advise 84. Stating that they have an active shooter, saying a doctor actively shooting 16th floor. 1650 Grand Concourse at the Bronx. 6 boy, I have you 84. 6 boy, K, I have you 84, okay? Okay, it's going to be time 14:58 hours, 14:58 for the 84 time. We have a 2-male shot at this time, 2-male shots at this time, 2 victims at this time. 6 units responding to this active shooter. Units, please use caution. We're advising multiple victims at this location. Multiple people shot at this location. Purpose armed with the rifle. Multiple victims shot. All 4-6 units responding to the confines of the 4-4 precinct. Please proceed with caution. 4-6 Lieutenant responding. Can you copy?
10-4 Central.
Please proceed with caution. We advise that there are multiple victims shot in
Bronx Duty Captain Central.
Duty Captain, Ken.
Show me around. Notify SRG. Notify ESU.
For all units are notified. I'm showing Aviation 19 is en route.
Special Project Lieutenant Central, show me 84.
10-4 Special Projects Lieutenant K, I have you 84. Also showing Bronx Duty Captain responding. Now advising Bronx Duty Captain, be advised it's a fire on the 16th floor. Advising fire at the location at this time.
At the box fire is fine as well.
4. Okay, notifications made for bomb squad and SRG to location. Duty Captain, copy.
Copy, Central. They're going to have your vest out of their car.
The last transmission.
What?
Duty Captain K, what's your location? What's your staging location for SRG and bomb squad? They're requesting for a location, staging location.
Just making Mount Eden and Grand Concourse.
10-4.
6 David 1.
6 David 1, proceed.
16th floor clear.
Proceed with caution. Multiple units shot with fire at location.
Central. Central.
4-6 Sergeant.
Try to have the concourse shut down into 4-6. You have numerous civilians coming this way.
Have a description, man.
We get units to shut down the concourse.
I need units to shut down the concourse in the 4-6. Can I have any available 4-8 units to proceed to the 4-6 precinct to help shut down the concourse?
Hey, David 2 Central. We're in the Grand Concourse. Where they want to shut it down? Hey, Sergeant, we'll see what you got.
Duty Inspector K, where do you want them to start shutting them down from?
Well, Burnside Avenue, you can.
4-8 Adam K, can you shut down Grand Concourse Burnside?
8 detail sergeant.
4-8 detail sergeant.
NCO Auto shutting down the concourse at 176. Service truck 4.
Service truck 4K.
Advise where you want us, on which side of the hospital you want us.
They advise the Mount Eden and Grand Concourse staging area. Authority of Bronx Duty Inspector.
Hey, crime, we're going up on Mount Eden Hospital. 6 David 1.
6 David 1, proceed.
Yeah, you got a smoke condition as well on the 16th floor.
I already made notifications to the fire department, K.
Have they really made entrance into the location? Be advised, we got MOS in Stairway B. We got MOS.
Be advised, we being told MOS in Stairwell B. MOS in Stairwell B.
84 Central. You copy, Duty Inspector 84?
10-4, K. Time 15:05 hours, K.
Central, be advised, let everybody know we have MOS in Stairway B doing an IDA. Stairway B. Shut down the concourse, go down.
Be advised MOS and Stairwell B.